Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy George Michael Perez, aka G Mike. Y'all already know what it is, baby. Back with another episode of Los Bandoleros Fantasy Football League, and it's coming down to the end. Championship round is right around the corner. We'll be showing you who's gonna be in that championship round this episode and who will be wearing the dress to Winwood on the corner of Coyo Taco. So you guys could go out there, take a picture. We're gonna have a sign that says "I suck at fantasy football" for the player, for the manager, and a hashtag for all social media platforms so they could be seen all over. Before we get into that, follow me on my socials at George Mike Perez on Twitter, IG, TikTok, and YouTube at GMikeMedia_. And if you haven't heard, I'm doing a podcast on all sports under the G Perspective on all podcast platforms and YouTube. For the next episode of the G Perspective, I'm going to have the two finalists in the championship round to come on to talk smack, to talk about their teams and what they need to do to win and what the teams need to do to improve to get the championship belt, all the money, and the jersey. So it's going to be a dope week. It's going to be very entertaining, very interesting, and hopefully you guys subscribe, leave some comments, and come back for more. All right, first we're going to start off with the losing bracket, and as you know, myself, I'm in it, and I'm going up against Jawan, and my team has scored the highest it's ever scored all year. It's the second highest scoring week for a team in the league this season with 170.76 points. Jawan 76.70 points. Jawan wasn't really paying attention because there's nothing really for him going to this. Even if he lost, he wouldn't wear a dress, and even if he won, he wasn't going to playoffs or advancing or winning any money or anything. So he wasn't really paying attention to his team. And then looking at my team went completely ballistic. And the only reason why I was really paying attention is because if I win, I go on to the next round and have a chance of not buying the jersey for the winner of the whole league. So Trevor Lawrence did his thing, but Devontae Smith, 2 reception touchdowns, 113 reception yards. Derrick Henry doing his thing. Dalvin Cook had a decent game, but TJ Hockenson, 13 receptions, 2 reception TDs, 109 reception yards. That's another favorite for Kirk Cousins over there with Justin Jefferson. And then Los Angeles defense did work against the Denver Broncos. 4 interceptions, 6 sacks, 1 TD. Looking at the bench, like I said, Jawan wasn't really paying attention. But even if he did, no matter what, his bench was not going to do anything to help him improve. And then my bench, if I would have put in anybody else for any other player on the starting unit, I probably would have had way less points. I had a 21.50 bench points, Jawan 36.10 bench points. I move on to the next round and have a chance of not buying the jersey for whoever wins the championship. All right, we look at the next matchup is Jose going up against Ernie. Jose's team really didn't do well, 93.98 points, 120.30 points for Ernie's team. No matter what, who win or lost, it really doesn't matter for them. So we're going to make this quick. Ernie's team, Jalen Waddle finally doing work again. Alvin Kamara finally doing work again as well. Jamar Chase always having a decent game. Jared Goff has been going off this year. 355 pass yards, 3 pass TDs, 1 fumble loss. That hurt right there. He probably would have had 27, 28 points. But he still had a fantastic year compared to the other years that he's been playing in the NFL. Then looking at Jose's team, Stephon Diggs did not have a good game. Josh Allen doing work always. Rashard White doing his thing. 1 reception TD, 4 receptions, 36 rush yards. DeAndre Swift was quiet. But just looking at the benches really quick, if Jose would have put in, not really Dak Prescott, it would have been the same thing with Josh Allen. So if he would have put in anybody else from his bench, he still would have lost. Ernie's team just got the upper hand on this one. If Ernie would have put in Jacoby Myers, 20.30 fantasy points, and for Mike Evans, only 5.90 fantasy points, it would have got him that much more points. But again, doesn't really matter. Ernie wins against Jose. Jose loses, but nothing really happens to them. All right, we got Fabi, aka the Legend, going up against Kev. Fabi put up 104.04 points, and Kev put up 113.30 points. This was a meaningless game for Fabi, but it was a meaningful game for Kevin, because if you would have lost to Fabi, then he would have had to buy whoever is going into the championship round the jersey. And the jersey is only between 4 people, so you'll realize later on why I'm saying that. But Kevin advances. His team did work. Keenan Allen, since he's been playing, has been doing work. James Conner finally scoring a TD again. 79 rush yards, 7 receptions, 1 rush TD. Najee Harris doing work as well against the Raiders. 15.50 fantasy points, 6 receptions, 53 rush yards, 42 reception yards. And his kicker, Dallas's kicker, going off 2 field goals. 2 field goals from 40 to 49 yards, and then 2 field goals from 20 to 29 yards, and 4 extra made points. He went pretty ballistic this week. Just looking at the benches really quick, if Fabi was really paying attention to his team, he probably would have beat Kevin. He had at least 5 players on the bench with 10 or more points. But if Kevin would have put in Devin Singletary in for Aaron Jones, he would have won by that much more. And then if you would have put in Cortland Sutton in, actually, no, it wouldn't really make a difference. It's just Devin Singletary would have been the key focus for him. If you would have put in him for Aaron Rodgers, he would have scored way more points. 50.30 bench points for Kev, 80.56 bench points for Fabi. Fabi loses, nothing really happens to him. He's out of the playoff race. And Kev, he moves on to the next round to face me, and whoever wins between us does not have to buy the jersey. All right, so this is officially the battle of the dresses. We got George, aka Losing Hurts. He's in last place, going up against Gio, aka the rookie, and he's in 11th place. The 2 last place players in the league are fighting for the dress, and George evidently lost. 114.30 fantasy point, 130.40 fantasy points for Gio. Looking at George's team, Deshaun Watson is not coming through for him like he wanted to. Devontae Adams is quiet because Derek Carr is not playing up to par. But CeeDee Lamb, 2 reception TDs, 120 reception yards, 10 receptions. He's a dog. And then his running backs did work. Even James Cook, a nice little pickup, 99 rush yards, 1 rush TD, 1 reception. But Gerald Everett, the tight end for the Chargers, is what Georgia needed for him to pop off with 15 points to actually, with 17 points to actually beat Gio, and he didn't even have 1 target the whole single game. For Gio, his team did work on the week that it really mattered for him, and especially Leonard Fournette. Gio was down to George almost 12 to 15 points, and then Leonard Fournette came out Sunday Night Football, scored 25.20 fantasy points, 90 reception yards, 9 receptions, 72 rush yards. He went off and he solidified the win for Gio. Looking at the benches to see if someone would have helped George out. If he would have put in Drake London in for Devontae Adams, it would have got him that much closer. He would have had like 126 points. It would have helped him out. And then he did a good thing of not starting Derek Carr because he had a shit game. Deshaun Watson did not do any better, but he still got him a little more points. But other than Drake London, even if you would have put Drake London in for Devontae Adams, he still would have lost. And then looking at Gio's team, Michael Gallup was doing work on the bench, but if you would have substituted him, that would have made him lose more. So Gio had great coaching this week. 38.20 bench points for Gio, 31.36 bench points for George. Gio is now not wearing a dress to Winwood, and George will be wearing a dress to Winwood on the corner of Pollo Taco. So come out there, come support, come take pictures with us. It's going to be a hell of a time. All right, looking at the playoff bracket, Steve, aka the reigning champ, has lost to Adonis, aka Crypto Wolf. 109.80 fantasy points for Adonis, 92.46 fantasy points for Steve. Looking at Steve's team, Mahomes did good, Godwin, Judy, but his running backs did not do work. Each of them did not put up more than 10 points. And then his tight end, Mark Andrews, that's been doing work all year, didn't do really much because Lamar Jackson is not playing. 45 reception yards, 3 receptions, And then Michael Pittman Jr., of course, because the Indianapolis Colts have no QB under center. 4 receptions, 39 reception yards. Did not look good for Steve there. And he had Jonathan Taylor go out. His number 1 pick has been injured in and out all year, but last week he got out for sure, and he is out for the season. Looking at Adonis's team, great coaching by him, putting DJ Moore in, 20.10 fantasy points, and I had told him I was scared about DJ Moore, but hey, he did work. 83 reception yards, 1 reception TD, 5 receptions. Saquon Barkley doing his thing, 27.30 fantasy points, 84 rush yards, 8 receptions, 1 rush TD. Travis Kelce, of course, 17.30 fantasy points, 113 reception yards, 6 receptions. Looking at the bench to see who could help out Steve, if you would have put in TJ Aguilar from the running back from Atlanta, 74 rush yards, 43 reception yards, and 4 receptions. If you would have put him in for Rashad Stevenson, that would have helped him out, and he maybe would have won. He definitely probably would have won, and then if he would have put in one of the other defenses, he would have won against Adonis for sure. So it's just bad coaching there. Looking at Adonis's team, if he would have put in Daniel Jones in for Geno Smith, it would have helped him out a little more. He probably would have scored almost 120, so it would have put him over the top. But no matter what, Adonis got this win, 32.96 fantasy points on the bench, 61.40 fantasy points on the bench. That hurts Steve. Steve is out of the playoffs. Adonis will advance to the championship round. All right, we got Tricky going up against Johnny, aka Johnny Say Word. Tricky put up 130.66 fantasy points, while Johnny put up 98.60 fantasy points. And if you guys saw the last episode of the G Perspective, y'all saw that they were talking smack to each other. And some of the things that Triquan said came to light, and some of the things that Johnny said was just out the window. Looking at Tricky's team, Kirk Cousins, relying on him, 3 pass TDs, 299 pass yards, 2 rush yards. Looking at his running backs, Josh Jacobs did not do well because the Raiders offense was just terrible on Sunday. Austin Eckler doing work, 2 rush TDs, 67 rush yards, 4 receptions. George Kittle, like we talked about, was going to be the main focus, and he was. 2 reception TDs, 120 reception yards, 6 receptions with 30 fantasy points. That helped Tricky get over the top right there. Looking at Johnny's team, Tua got a concussion during the game, and he stayed in the game, and you know what happened? He threw 3 picks and did not do well. Should have got out of the game. Justin Jefferson doing work like always, 31.30 fantasy points, 133 reception yards, 12 receptions, 1 reception TD. DeAndre Hopkins was only held to 1 reception for 4 yards. That is tough right there. That's tough. Nick Chubb had a decent game. Joe Mixon had a good game. But just looking at the benches really quick, if Johnny would have put in Tyler Higbee as his tight end, 30.40 fantasy points on the bench, 2 reception TDs, 94 reception yards, 9 receptions. If you would have put him in, it would have put him that much closer, but Tricky would have still won this week with the starting lineup that he got. 47.60 fantasy points for Johnny on the bench, 29.96 fantasy points for Tricky on the bench. Johnny is out of the playoffs. Tricky will advance to his first ever championship round. All right, so the championship round will include Adonis, aka Crypto Wolf, going up against Trick. Right now, Trick is expected to win 120.82 fantasy points, projection points, with Adonis 108.85 projection points. Whoever wins gets all the money, gets the championship belt, and gets the jersey between the bet of them two, myself and Kevin, that we have a bet. Whoever is the last place out of us 4 has to buy the jersey for whoever is first place out of us 4. So whoever gets first gets the jersey as well. Then looking at our matchup, Kevin and I, he's projected to win right now 117.86 projection points. I have 107.05 projection points. Between us, whoever loses has to buy the jersey for Adonis or Trick. And then looking at the rest of the matchups, Steve against Johnny. Doesn't really mean much there, so I don't really think they're gonna set up their lineup. And then Fabi against Jawan. Again, doesn't mean much there, so I don't think they set up their lineups. All right, so we got the two finalists for the finals. Adonis going up against Trick. It's gonna be a dope. Adonis is gonna be his second championship appearance. It's gonna be Tricky's first championship appearance. Adonis has a chance to going two-time champ, and Tricky has a chance of being finally a one-time champ. So it's gonna be dope. And then we got a matchup between myself and Kev. We gotta see whoever loses has to buy the jersey for whoever wins between Adonis and Trick. So it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be interesting, entertaining. Please come back and watch, subscribe, hit the like button. But remember, follow me on my socials at George Mike Perez on Twitter, on IG, TikTok, and YouTube, IG Mike Media _, and then the podcast that I'm doing on sports, which while I will have Adonis and Trick come on to talk about the matchup and talk some shit to each other. It's under the G Perspective on all podcast platforms. So hopefully you guys come back and keep watching more. Bye.